What is going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Not a victory Tuesday, not a loss Tuesday. Happy tie Tuesday. Should have wore a tie, I guess. Hope the week's going well for you all. I feel like I'm still kind of sleep deprived from the game, but we can kind of talk about that a little bit. I see a lot of people checking in, a lot of usual faces, which is great. I love to see it. Kicking things off, we got Ron over in Appleton. Good to see you as always, Ron. Let me actually get this banner going while I'm thinking about it. We have Corey in New Ulm. Good to see you, Corey. Keith as well in New Ulm. Steve coming in. Steve, are you coming for the Bengals game next week? I think you said you were because I know the Cincinnati Packers group. I know a lot of people are coming up for that. So excited about that. Raymundo, good to see you as always. Checking in from California. Plenty of season left. Amen, my friend. Christy from I almost said California again because of the CA. From old Canada. Good to see you, Christy. Swag Coda saying hi to Kirby. Rude. Heather, good to see you as always. Swag Coda, hello. I haven't added the link yet, Kirby. I haven't. Stop trying to rig the results. I know you had your luck last week and you're trying to replicate it. Chad says it's Tuesday. Still feeling it from the game Sunday night. Both teams did not want to win. Go Reds. I don't watch baseball at all, so no clue. Rowdy, fresh back in town from Dallas. That was a thing. We're gonna talk all about it, Rowdy. Good to see you as always. Lori, good to see you checking in from Wisconsin. Tony from Wyowega, good to see you, sir. Alfonso coming in from Houston, Texas. We got Billy as well coming in from Houston this week. Good to see you, Billy. Dakota's already all right. I'm gonna let people in on a little secret. My boy Dakota, love that guy. He is the troll of all trolls. He cracks me up because I do get a lot of people on my page. Not so much now, obviously, because Clifford's not here, but I was getting a lot of people who wanted Clifford over Love for the longest time. So now Dakota just still trolls about that. Sweet, Steve. Maybe I'll see you there. I'm going to be at the Bengals game, and I think I'm going to be doing some other stuff there as well with the Cincinnati Packers, whatever you want to call it. So just figuring out details yet. So hopefully I can bump into you. Derek coming in from South Dakota. Good to see you, sir. All right. Christy said, love the change, the overtime rule so each team gets a crack with the ball, but I don't like the ending in a tie. Hockey overtime, then shootout. We're going to talk all about it. I have some ways on how I want to fix the overtime. Robert, good to see you, sir. You were at the game as well. Packers fans and Cowboys fans stood dumbfounded, not sure what to do or say except good game. It's like the official participation trophy of the game of everyone. Everyone got orange slices and high fives. Rowdy says after the last field goal, everyone just kind of stood up and left. No trash talking, no cheering. It was eerie. I feel like it felt like that at home. Ben, good to see you as well, coming in from Cali. All right, here is the giveaway link. If you're new here, if it's your first time watching, if you've never entered before, fill out that form. Towards the tail end of the show, I will draw a winner. You don't need to be here the entire time to win, but you do need to be here to claim your prize because there is a little bit of interactivity with it. So that's probably not even a word either. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But fill that out. Only fill it out one time throughout the show. I'm going to drop it multiple times. Just fill it out one time for me, please. Make my life easy. Otherwise, technically, I could disqualify you from the giveaway if there is in there more than one time. And I like not to do that. I just try to clean it up. But Jenny, good to see you. Checking in from West Bend. Good to see you as always. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is a 40-40 tie. That was a scoregami, which if you're not familiar with what a scoregami is, a scoregami means that is the first time that score has ever happened as a final score. Hopefully it's the last time because that is uneventful. This was the 7th time in Packers history, with the most recent coming in 2018 against the Minnesota Vikings, week 2 of 2018 season, where the game ended in a tie. I was at a tie game one time. So the time before 2018 was 2013. I was at that game. Scott Tolzien had his incredible juke spin move dive into the end zone against the Vikings. He struggled in that game. They put in Matt Flynn, who staged a comeback, went to overtime. No one wanted to win it, and it was a tie. And it was eerie, like you guys alluded to, that were there, the ones that were there. It's a weird feeling. And I remember the last one in 2018. I was at my niece's birthday party. We, my a lot of my family's Vikings fans. I have a lot of family that's Packers fans. We're at this birthday party. Packers and Vikings are going back and forth. If you remember, that's the one where Daniel Carlson shanked a bunch of field goals. Clay Matthews got flagged for an absurd roughing the passer that would have ended the game. And it ended in a tie, and everyone in the house was just like, okay, what now? Like, what now? It's just a weird feeling anytime you get a tie. So I don't think a pro football game should end in a tie. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I saw someone, I posted that I didn't think pro football games should end in a tie. And someone commented something about like, oh, it wasn't uncommon for 0-0 ties back in the day. So it's just part of the game. I looked it up. The last time there was a 0-0 tie was in 1943 when the Lions and Giants tied the game 0-0. If a tie hasn't happened since, since players were wearing helmets, a tie like that, I should say, a tie in that manner hasn't happened since players were actually out of leather helmets, then maybe it's time to reassess the rules here. I also looked it up. Since 2000, there have been 15 ties. Maybe it's one of those things then that you say, okay, the Packers or the NFL doesn't need to address a change. If there's only been 15 ties since 2000, maybe it's not that big of a deal. I'm on the other side of the coin where I say, if there's only been 15 ties since 2000, maybe it's time to come up with something else. And it's not going to completely change the game if it's only occurred 15 times. I was talking to the boys. We got a boys group chat. We're talking in there. We're coming up with some ideas. I got some other ones. So I'm curious what your guys' ideas would be to eliminate the ties. How would you go in that overtime period? We talked about maybe college football rules, maybe continue going until one team, scores when the other doesn't, don't have a time limit in overtime. We've talked about those. We got some other fun ones. We talked about field goals, 5 field goal attempts or chunks of 5, kind of like a free penalty shot in hockey. But the field goals get further back as they go. That would be a fun touch. We talked about kind of like soccer, maybe do 5 field goals, but each kick, a different player on your team has to kick it. And they can't repeat. So you go 5 and the other team matches. Now you need to find 5 more kickers. That would be a fun touch. You got Zach Tom out there trying to kick like a 40-yard field goal. That might make for some interesting TV. I don't know that would resolve the tie any quicker at that point. But the other thing, kind of what I was thinking would be a fun thing. Maybe you start at the 20. Each offense starts at the 20. If each offense scores a touchdown, then you go to the 30, then the 40, then the 50. You don't allow them to get first down, so it's a 4-play series. And after 40 yards or after 50 yards, then the defense can add one more player per series. I think it'd be funny to see like 7 defensive backs out there and 6 defensive linemen all rushing the quarterback and trying to capitalize on that. Those are just some of the ideas I have. I feel like there's a lot of ways you could fix the overtime, but to have it end in a 0-0 tie is absolutely like a punch in the gut. It is so bad. It felt like you were robbed of an experience almost, because yes, it's better than losing. I get that. But at least then you have a sense of emotion, right? You're like, oh man, we could have done X, Y, and Z. And a tie oftentimes feels like a loss. Either way, for either party, I feel like it feels like a loss. But to spend I don't know what it was, 4 to 4.5 hours of my night, maybe it was 4 hours, to spend 4 hours of my night emotionally invested in a game and then to have it end in a tie felt like, what do we do? What do I do next? Where's the resolution? Shut off the TV, got ready for bed, laid in bed, and just like the adrenaline's still there, everything's still there, and there's just no resolution. It was, I don't know, it's such an odd feeling, and I feel like it was even worse because it's a nighttime game. I have a young son. I usually go to bed at like 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock. So to stay up until like 11ish and then struggle to sleep because I'm amped up. And then on top of that, there's no resolution to a game made it even worse for me. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be something. And a lot of people are saying, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I just feel like ties just, I get ties in soccer or, what Europeans call football. I get ties in that. When a game is low scoring of 1-1, 2-2, I understand that because defenses there really make a difference. And I don't know, you might be playing for a long, long time until you get another goal, and their goals aren't instant killers either. Their goals aren't instant games done. But having a tie, it'd be like having a tie in basketball. That would feel so weird to just be like, after double overtime, it's a tie, and we just go home. I don't know. I didn't like that. What suggestions you guys have for fixing this overtime policy here? All right. This isn't a solution here, but Raymundo says something crazy I found out is that Evan Williams is dating one of my buddy's daughters here at our church. Hopefully I can see him in person one day. Seems like a great dude. That's super cool. Small world, man. 272 games, and this will be the one tie, and the media will be talking about it nonstop come December and the impact on the standings. Really, it is. It is a big impact on the standings. I felt like at some point our defense was going to make a play where I felt comfortable that our offense wasn't going to be able to be stopped. So it felt like one that we probably should have came away with had there been more time. That was like the classic Lombardi quote of, we didn't lose the game, we just ran out of time. That's how it felt. Of those 15 ties, how many involved Green Bay? At least 3 of them that I can think of. There could be more. I didn't really look that closely. That's a good question though. Jenny, you're not alone. I think a lot of people thought that it would go to a second overtime. If I'm not mistaken, there was a game years ago where the team thought it would go to a second overtime and they lost because of it. I could be making that up. That could have just been me playing Madden, if we're being honest. But I feel like it's not uncommon to have that confusion because I think a lot of people thought about it. Heaviest player on each team raced the 100-yard dash. Now that is a crafty way to settle an overtime. That that's great. Ron says it's a tie like a participation award. It honestly feels like it. It really feels like it. It just felt like okay, like get the orange slices out. Mom's taking us to Pizza Hut after the game. Woohoo! It is better than losing, but it doesn't. I think it's just tough because it doesn't give you any emotion. It doesn't give you any sense of like, okay, this is what's going on. Have the special team coordinators kick field goals. Joe says just follow college football rules. I think that's probably the easiest solution, but I want to get crafty with it. I want to have some fun with it. Offensive coach and defensive coach arm wrestle if still tied. Head coach arm wrestles as a tiebreaker. What I love about these ideas is it brings such a different element to the game that's not there now, right? If you have 5 different players that have to kick this field goal, you are going to be trying to draft dynamic players that are good enough to be starting at one position, but also talented enough that they can kick a 40-yard field goal, which is a hard trait. Or in this case, you're going to be having your head coach's arm wrestle. Maybe you need to find a head coach who's strong. Like the Lions coach is now suddenly a better asset because of the fact that he could snap the Cardinals coach's arm in half. Like I feel like that's a fun aspect of this. Can we kick him through the uprights? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit. Let's get into the game here. So obviously, let's just start with the bad. I always like ending with the good in things, unless there's not really any good to go over. But there's a lot of good to go over. That's the bright side of this, right? Bad, obviously, let's talk about it. Defense was pretty bad. We went from allowing hardly any points the first 3 weeks against some pretty good opponents. Detroit's been rolling. Now, first game of the year is always a little weird to kind of assess, but we steamrolled Detroit. We beat Washington. Obviously lost to the Brownies, but we only allowed them to put up 13 points. And I think all of us felt, especially after those first 2 drives, that okay, the Packers defense is going to do their job and the Packers might just run away with it. Then we saw the block kick, which really felt like it switched momentum. But it after that, it was just rough. You saw lack of pressures. Micah had a great amount of pressures, but outside of that, it felt like the D line really struggled. Now, some of that's kudos to Dallas as well, right? Dallas is planned for that. They were doing quick releases. They were doing a lot of good things to combat a good defensive line. The problem is that our defensive backs just weren't playing great either. It felt like they were playing a little bit, maybe a more soft. A lot of opportunities, a lot of opened opportunities. We saw a lot of lack of urgency and hustle that we saw maybe weeks 1 and 2. And we saw a lot of poor tackling. I know I love Adrian Cooper, but I think he probably had one of his worst games from a tackling perspective. It felt like guys weren't wrapping up. Guys weren't rushing to the ball like maybe they were week 1 and 2 where they were flying around and the defense was fast. Part of it could have been that they were gassed. Rowdy and Robert, if you're still in the chat, I don't know if it was warmer there. I know the roof was open. Maybe that's part of it as well. As maybe they're just gassed. I don't know. I'm certainly not. I saw a lot of people like panicking about it. I'm certainly not panicking about it. One game does not dictate anything. If the Packers would have came out and struggled on offense, I think I would have been more concerned because Dallas has a very poorly rated pass defense and rushing defense. And like their defense is just struggling. But the fact that the Packers were able to offensively come out and just dominate, anytime you can put up 40 points, the odds of that being a loss or tie are probably very, very, very small. So I was happy to see the offense bounce back, and I felt like the offense played pretty well for the most part. There's obviously some blunders. We saw the game management side of the things was really where the blunders were coming from. The halftime turnover, I get really frustrated, and I don't mind being aggressive to a certain extent, but we were looking at like a 3rd and long with, I think we're almost out of timeouts or had 1 left at that point. We were at a point where we might have been kicking the ball back to Dallas. Instead, we convert. I think they called their last time out at that point. There's like 17 seconds left. And it's like, okay, this series feels kind of lost at this point. I thought at that point, once they converted, that they were going to just run out the half because there's not a lot of time left. And you get aggressive or too aggressive and it kind of gets stupid. And that's kind of how that felt. You saw the left tackle, Rasheed Walker. You saw him just completely whiff. Defensive lineman comes around, makes a great play, strips the sacks, and then the rest is history, right? It allowed a 7-point swing heading into halftime and huge momentum swing heading into halftime. So that was brutal. The overtime clock management was brutal. You had no sense of urgency there, which ultimately resulted in the Packers having to kick. We had no time left. They were down at like the 30. and they do 2 swing passes back to back that just got blown up. And you're thinking, okay, I understand. Maybe you're thinking you hit a swing pass and they're gonna make a play, get upfield and get out of bounds, kind of stop the clock. But when the first one doesn't work, and then you go right back to it, it's like, man, we're just wasting timeouts here and wasting time. And then that last play, holy cow! I don't know about you guys, but I was stressing when Jordan's like rushing everyone to the line. I'm thinking, there's no time. There's not enough time here. And then they snap the ball with 8 seconds, and I'm saying a few choice words to myself of like, what are we doing here? The Packers got extremely lucky that play ended how it did, in the sense of a second being left on the clock, because that was absurd. That almost went from a almost a guaranteed tie to a loss because of one decision like that. So I don't know the story with that. I don't know if some players thought that there's a double overtime, if LaFleur wasn't able to tell him to stop, or I don't know what the story was with that, but that was too much. That, like, I was already stressed enough, and that amped it up even more. O-line was pretty brutal, except for Elton Jenkins. Elton Jenkins didn't allow single pressure all night. The rest of the line was pretty rocky. Special teams, you obviously got to talk about special teams. Two weeks in a row, we've allowed a blocked field goal, which is inexcusable. Rich Bisaccia is the highest paid special teams coach in the NFL, and it feels like our special teams just do not get any better. I saw we're currently the 32nd ranked special teams unit, which is horrible. There's penalties across the board, block kicks. Really, you take special teams out of the equation, the Packers are 4-0 right now. And that's now, there's a lot of other factors that go into that. I know, but against the Browns, you probably have that one wrapped up. You kick that field goal. Against Cowboys, if that's 14-0 and you don't have that swing the other way, that completely changes the dynamic of the game. And those are big mistakes that cost teams. And I don't think we will. I don't foresee Matt making a coaching change at special teams. I just don't see that happening mid-season. We saw them roll with Joe Barry through very painful times. And I don't know, maybe that's a big flaw of Matt. I know it's tough, right? It's tough because it's like Rich is very well respected by players on the team. Nate Hobbs said that he's kind of like a father figure to him. Keyshawn Nixon said a lot of great things. He's a very like well-liked and a leader among men. But when you're not performing and you're not seeing the results, there has to be a time where you say, okay, what's the conversation going to be and what's the outcome going to be? And we're not seeing the needle move in a positive way. And at that point, you need to start having conversations, because ultimately, if these problems are arising throughout the season, they're going to be arising in the playoffs when it matters most. And you just hate to see a window close because of something stupid. We saw it in 2021, the blocked punt, which let the 49ers get a touchdown, brought them back into the game, and ultimately ended up knocking us out of the playoffs. Had a very real chance at going to the Super Bowl that year, and instead you get knocked out on a fluke special teams play. I don't know. It's frustrating though, but let's kind of circle back and check some of these comments here. All right. Alfonso says special teams needs help. Yeah, it does. The game ending in a tie was like getting kicked between the uprights. Do you think we came thinking we already had a W? I don't think so. I would think after the Browns game, I would think any talk or assumptions of we're going to automatically win this game goes out the window. I just think I think Dallas had that game circled on their calendar, right? Jerry Jones is a very that kind of guy. But I don't think the Cowboys are terrible. I know a lot of people are like, oh, the Bears blew them out, so the Packers should do the same. But the Eagles barely beat them. So it's just how it goes in the NFL sometimes is against the Bears, they had a lot of costly turnovers that really allowed the Bears to pull ahead. Those can be very demoralizing and really, screw up momentum and screw up your routine and rhythm of your offense. The Packers weren't able to force those. The Packers weren't able to capitalize on turnovers. So it's just how it goes. Rowdy says, "Hey, I'm going to save this for the burning hot questions, Rowdy. We'll get to that when we get into that segment." Roof was open, but it was still cool in the stadium. Okay, we talked about. I didn't know if it was like warmer in there. Uh, uh, that is a fun stat. The Packers are still technically undefeated at AT&T, which is pretty fun. They won Super Bowl XLV there, along with numerous matchups against the Cowboys. Shanika says, "This is." I think Shanika. I think it's tough because you look at a stat line and I think it's hard to say. Um, so Shanika says Micah didn't look like he wanted to play against Dallas. He really didn't impress me in this game. Romeo Doubs is the player of the game. I would actually argue the other way, Shanika, and we're going to get into that a little bit in the good side. Uh, I can spoil it a little bit, but Micah had 10 pressures. He led the NFL in week 4 with pressures. He had the game-saving sack on Dak on that scramble. I think Dallas really played to try to eliminate him, but there's only so much you can do. When you're getting 10 pressures and no one else on the defensive line is kind of holding their weight, like we said, Dallas was doing a lot of quick throws and things that take him out of the game. And there's only so much you can do when the quarterback's not holding the ball. I didn't think Micah had a poor game by any means, but yeah, like Rowdy said, Micah was the highest rated or highest ranked PFF player in the league this week. I thought he had a great game. He obviously had that game winning sack or game saving sack, I should say. Yeah, that one, I don't know what was going on with that, but yeah, I was surprised that they weren't at least being a little bit more aggressive with it, but I don't know. Just trying to see. Okay, I think I'm all right. Let's talk about the good. Like I said, it wasn't all bad, right? I think anytime you lose, it's easier to focus on bad, but it was not all bad. Jordan finished 31 of 43 for 3 touchdowns, all 3 to Romeo Doubs. He escaped pressure multiple times. His offensive line wasn't doing him any favors. That's why when we saw the schedule come out in that early bye week, we were like, oh man, an early bye week. But right now it's looking pretty sweet. We have a lot of offensive line injuries. We had Devontae Wyatt go out of the game, which was huge. You saw the Dallas offense really start rolling once he left. And having that offensive line be stout again will be so nice. Jordan's having to do a lot of quicker throws, and I think that can kind of make you more of a limited offense, especially when maybe your running game can't get going the same way. What I loved in this past game is this past week, you saw Jordan showing that he's learning from mistakes. There were multiple screen passes where it was a little muddy, and in the past, Jordan would try to do something with it. Last year, I believe against Detroit, he threw a pick 6 on a muddy screen pass. Just an ugly decision. This past week, he threw him into the grass multiple times rather than taking the risk. I love that. He threw balls away rather than taking the risk. Live to see another day rather than try to force something stupid. I love that. I think that is incredible to see that growth. And to me, he gets dogged on so much. It's absurd how much Jordan gets dogged on. Every single time he makes just the slightest mistake, the amount of mentions and comments about how he's such a terrible quarterback it just blows my mind. When you look at Rodgers and Favre and Love throughout the same amount of starts, their stats are almost like identical throughout it. And I'm not going to say that he's going to be a Hall of Famer or anything like that. I think it's way too early in the ball game for that. But to act like he's just this horrible quarterback, I don't we've been so spoiled to watch Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the best arm talents, and that's changed our perception of what a quarterback is. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of teams around the NFL that would gladly have Jordan Love on their team right now. And so many Packer fans just want to get rid of him at a moment's notice. But love to see that development from him and the smarter plays. And I think you're going to just see him continue to grow, especially as he gets on, he gets more of that time with those receivers. We saw a good connection with Golden there. And the Romeo Dobbs connection really seems like it's growing there. And you love to see that. Romeo, incredible hands. That one that was setting up that final drive just before overtime, I think it was a third down. Maybe it was a fourth down at that point. I don't remember. It was either a third or fourth. I think it was a third. Where he threw it, and it was such a beautiful ball. The defender was right outside the range of the defender, and Romeo's ability to just snag it and just all hands, wrestle it down, no problem. I think that was the one where he got put into a chokehold by the Dallas defender. That was just beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, his ability to make these routes, run these crisp routes, get open, big hands, and come down with the ball, like just beautiful. 3 touchdowns, hell of a game for Romeo. We talked about Mike already. 10 pressures in the game-saving sack. I know stat line, if you're maybe not paying attention to the defensive line, maybe you're not seeing the impact he's having. The other thing when we talked, I didn't talk about it in the bad, is the officiating was pretty wild. There were a lot of times where Mike was blatantly held and just nothing happens. Nothing happens. And I know that's kind of the MO for Micah. He's dealt with that his whole career, but I don't know. He makes such a difference in the game. Even if he's not showing up on the stat line, he makes such a difference in the game of defenders or offensive line having to put 2 to 3 guys on him, which frees up space for everyone else. So I thought he had a hell of a game. Josh Jacobs, 22 attempts for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also a great game for Josh. He really ran it well, had some great cuts, had some great vision, despite the offensive line maybe not doing the greatest job. And then Emmanuel Wilson, 8 rushes for 44 yards. He had some really great runs as well. There was a lot of pros there. Unfortunately, mostly all on offense. Christy says, I swear the 87 is a magic number, unless you ask like Jake Sternberger. I don't know. There's been some other ones that wore 87 over the years that maybe didn't compete how you want. But yeah, it really Romeo. I love Romeo. Jenny, heart disease runs in my family history. Yikes, Sunday night. That's the thing. Like the Packers always I don't know. They always seem like they shave some years off my life every single year. Steve says, is it just me or does Romeo's guardian cap seem to get bigger every week? I think every touchdown he catches, they just add a little bit more padding. We joke that it's kind of like in NFL Blitz. If you played that, there used to be a big head code that you would enter before the game, and that's what Romeo looks like. I think Romeo's guardian helmet's nice. It's like a beacon for love of, I see Romeo way down there. I'm gonna just huck it. Him and Savion, they both have their guardian helmets, and love can just huck it to him. I'm gonna Chad. I see yours. I'm gonna save that for burning hot questions. Someone said he looks like Toad from Mario with it on. My daughter says he's very protected. Yeah, I don't. Hey, if you want to wear it, so be it. Godspeed. Yeah, I'm with you, Chris. Chris says, I don't know. I don't see why we have a tie in the NFL. What's the point? All that time late at night for a tie. Couldn't agree more, man. All right, here is the giveaway link. Start dropping your questions if you got them. Doesn't have to be football. It could be life. Could be just whatever you want to know. Let's have some fun. Let's get some good burning hot questions in here. See where we're at. Huge thank you to my friends over at Legend Larry's for sponsoring the show all season long. I did see tonight that there was a big announcement. They are having their Wisconsin Old Fashioned Wings, which took third in the Buffalo Wing competition for flavor, took third place in Buffalo, which is, I mean, that's like the Super Bowl of competitions there. They are having a very limited time run on that flavor. I think they said each location has like one bottle, so maybe it'll last a day, maybe 2 days. So if you are seeing this right now and you live in an area by Legendaries, you need to go check it out if you can get it. That it's going to be an elusive one. I bet you that it's going to go quick. Otherwise, they are going to be coming out with some more fun sauces here. I heard a preview of what's coming up next. I'm excited to try that one. You'll definitely be hearing about it from me. This month in October, well, not this month, it's the final day of September, but in October, I'm going to be doing a giveaway for some of their sauces that won first place in the Buffalo Hot Buffalo contest in Buffalo, New York. So I'm excited to do those giveaways. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe I'll do a giveaway just for people on the live show too. I'm going to do one for each social, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. But maybe I'll do one just for the live show as well. But yeah, thanks to Legendaries. I really can't thank them enough. They've been great to work with, and yeah. All right, let's get into this here. Going back to Rowdy's question, what is your take on the 2 goal line false starts? I was on the other side of the stadium and I couldn't see it, but it seemed like they were called before Jordan was even under center yet. I haven't watched the game replay. The only one I can think of is when Elton at one point grabbed the football and kind of extended his arm out a little bit, something that they do every single time. And the refs deemed it maybe a little too far of an extension because they were so close to the goal line. So they called it a false start. Personally, it was a pretty ticky-tacky call, in my opinion. So I was a little like, what the hell's going on here with that one? And I don't necessarily recall or remember another one. I'm sure there was one. It wouldn't surprise me. We seem to be having a lot of penalties, but that's the one that comes to mind right away for me. Going back to this question from Chad. Why does it always feel like the Packers are always the team that refs make an example of when it comes to penalties? That flag was thrown when Jenkins moved the ball slightly forward on the 1 yard line. The commentator said that it was a point of emphasis this year. How many times will that actually be called across the league this year? I will say, on the other side, the Packers have been pretty fortunate with calls too. I think as fans, we see calls happen to us and we feel like it only happens to us, or it's a gripe to us, or it stands out more to us. But there are plenty of times that the Packers get away with stuff as well. And the Packers benefit from stuff. But this last game definitely felt like Jerry's check cash for sure. Christy says, have you seen the Noggin Boss cap? It's like the Guardian cap of baseball hats. I have. You know the Noggin Boss, the Noggin Boss cap or whatever it's called. It's like $130. Like I don't wear hats, so first off, I don't really care either way. But I don't know that I would ever pay $130 for a baseball hat, even if it's a big one and whatever. I don't know. All right, Dakota's got a good one here. Do aliens exist? So there's 2 chains of thoughts here, right? There's I better do some smelling salts while I'm amping up for this one here. Shout out to you, Kirby. Thanks. I have a stuffed nose, so that was kind of a delayed reaction. I think I really got a good one on that one. Do aliens exist? There's 2 chains of thoughts here. Either out of all of the potential galaxies and all of the infinite space, we are the only thing living. Or out of all that space, there are other life forms. And I think both are equally scary. I think they do exist. I think there's got to be something out there. Whether or not we've had interaction or contact with them, I don't know. But I think there are definitely some out there. I think. I don't know. I'm curious what other people's thoughts are. Heather, you'll be back. I think you'll be back next week. You should be back next week because it's like 2 or more. I generally do two or more in a row. But I get it. You had work, you had stuff going on. I feel weird doing the banner because I feel like I don't want people to feel like I'm disappointed if they're not here. Obviously, we have a really good group of people that I enjoy interacting with, and I'm very fortunate because a lot of people have been hanging out since last year, which is fun because I get to know them more, or it feels like I know them more. A lot of good vibes. I feel like we've really cultivated a nice group that hangs out, and it's good vibes. Um, but I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to be here every single week. Life comes up, stuff happens. Stuff's far more important than watching my live show every Tuesday. So yeah, I don't know. I like doing it because people requested it and it's like a fun thing, but also at the same time, life comes up, life happens. Yeah, I'm kind of the same boat. Like, as far as the Guardian helmets, doesn't bother me, doesn't impact my life at all. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's their health and their life. So do your thing. Billy says, "What's the time on Watson returning?" I think he's talking about returning to practice here soon, like after the bye week. I think it sounds like the window is going to be opening here soon. So um, I don't know. That's a good thing there. Jenny says, "What did the Packers do with this bye week?" Some of them, I think, go back home for a little bit. I saw Edger and Cooper and Micah were hanging out on riding horses or doing stuff with their horses, relax their body, all of that stuff. Keith says offensive line is a concern. Thoughts? I think a lot of it too is that we've dealt with so many injuries right off the bat. You have guys that are playing out of position or being moved around the line. We saw that with Jordan Morgan. Jordan was put right guard. He was in college. He was a left tackle. Yes, he has the versatility to play across, but he's going to be far more mistake prone when he's playing out of position. Last week we saw him at left guard, which is probably a little bit easier, but I don't know. It's harder to be moving around like that. Ben says, I don't know if it's been asked yet. I had to step away. Do you think the special teams coach is in the hot seat? I talked about it a little bit. I don't think Matt will fire anyone mid-season. We kept Joe Barry for way too long. I don't see a world that they fire Rich mid-season. I think it would have to be some really egregious stuff for that to happen, and I just don't think it's there. Watching Rodgers beat the Vikings was great, and his cocky stance on that 4th and 1. I don't think it was a cocky stance. I don't know. I just think it was just, he's just standing there. I'm not doing anything. I still love Rodgers. I know a lot of Packers fans have soured on him, but I still love Rodgers. I think he has provided me so many great memories as a Packers fan that I'll always love him. I shouldn't say I'll always love him. There are things that he could do that I would not like him anymore, but even with his like kind of out there views on the world, I still love watching him. I'm thankful for all the memories here. Potts too. He should be showing up any minute. Yeah. Casey says you're getting addicted to the smelling salt. Yeah, man. Need a salt a day. Keeps the doctor away. That's what I heard. Heather says the intentional grounding call not being called was crazy. Yeah, that was another one. Sway Coda says, can I get the giveaway link one more time? I keep forgetting to sign up so I can beat Kirby. Yes, sign up. If you have not done so already, there's the giveaway link. Fill it out. If you've already done it, don't do it a second time. You're already there. But that is also how I register who's here week in and week out for the ticker across the bottom. Chris, I get that. I appreciate you being here, man. For some of us that don't win the giveaway, it's nice to see your name. All right, I'm trying to see. Christy said, I'd love to see you and Rogers talk aliens. I'm sure he'd have some good thoughts on that. All love for Rogers from me as well. I don't think so with Rogers and his views and his research on aliens. I don't think I'm well versed enough to really have a deep, meaningful conversation about aliens. I'm not one of the guys that I don't spend a lot of time with like looking up conspiracy theories or like the earth being flat. I just don't think I'd be in his wheelhouse. I think I think there are interesting talking points about aliens and there's interesting things about aliens. But I just think that I think conspiracy theories are wild or a little weird to me because people suck at keeping secrets. And a conspiracy theory requires a lot of people to keep secrets. And I don't know that it would work, you know? The whole like, oh, the moon landing was a cover up and it's a big conspiracy. Think about how many people would have to be in on this like fake moon landing for it to just never go. Like, how does that stay confined in a small group of people and never really go anywhere? I don't know. I feel like and looking at governments, of the past, it's not like governments are the most efficient. I mean, past and present, all of them lumped together. Doesn't matter who's in charge, but I feel like no one's like the government's never been an efficient, well-oiled machine that's just good at things. There's a lot of government waste, and I just think for them to be able to cover this stuff up with all these people working on it seems impossible to me. I don't know. Maybe that's my conspiracies that conspiracies don't exist. Shanika says, do any of you do the tailgate for home games? If yes, is it worth the price? I'm not sure exactly which tailgate you're referring to. So we can talk about tailgating a little bit. So there are a few different routes to go if you're tailgating for a Packers game. You could go to like D2s, or I think the bar has it as well. And you can buy a tailgate package with them that comes with all you can eat and all you can drink. It is a little bit pricier, but it's all you can eat and all you can drink, and that includes alcohol. I think beer and like there's some stipulations, right? You're not doing shots of Grey Goose or whatever. I don't drink alcohol. I don't know if Grey Goose is a top shelf thing, whatever. But so you could do that, which all you can eat, all you can drink. I think it's like $50. You could do your own tailgate if you want to bring all your own stuff. One thing I recommend people doing who are coming in, maybe they're not like looking to eat a lot or drink a lot, but they're just looking to mingle with people, is check out lot 1. There are people over at lot 1. They have one thing to look for is like their lot 1 flag. They have like a yellow flag with a smiley face. It says lot 1. But they welcome everyone to their tailgate. And they have a lot of awesome stuff that is, I'll say free, but they have like jars for donations that they do for charity. Lot 1's incredible. They are very inclusive. Everyone can come join in, whether you're an away fan or a Packers fan. To me, that's the spot to go if you're looking to just mingle with people, and maybe you're not looking to eat a bunch or drink a bunch. Maybe you already are just carrying around a case of beer and you're just looking to mingle with fans. That's the spot to go. They're super cool. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just it's kind of my thought on it. You know, those are kind of the options and what I always tell people. Christy says, good point on the people being able to keep secrets and being terrible at it. It is the NFL scriptwriter drama. There would be a lot of people needing to keep the secrets if it was fixed. Here's the thing with the scripts as well. I'm going to go off on this, and then we're going to be doing the drawing here soon. I feel like I'm getting away from it, but the whole script thing, obviously it's a meme, right? There have been so many absurd plays in the NFL that you could not script. Do you think you could script the David Tyree catch on his helmet in the Super Bowl after Eli's almost sacked, somehow gets out, hucks it up there? Like, there's just too many moving parts to be able to write that script. I think with betting being involved in it, I think the refs maybe, I would buy the conspiracy a little bit more that sports betting could influence things. We've seen refs influenced by betting and their own personal in other sports. So that wouldn't surprise me, but that's not a league-wide led thing. That's more of an individual led thing. Speaking of sports betting, Raymundo says, do you play Prize Picks? My wife just got me hooked into that. Raymundo, be careful. I do not. I'm a frugal man, so I don't like gambling. I did do Prize Picks when Matt had his. He had like a promotion because he was a sponsor with them, and I think I got free $50 or something when I put $5 on or $10 on. I won $200, took it all out and uninstalled the app. But be careful; it's very addictive, and they do a lot of research on it. Ben says one last burning question: is the Earth flat? No, the Earth is round. Let's be wild here. Let's be reasonable, I should say. All right. There is the giveaway link. I'm going to be drawing we're going to be getting into the winner here soon. Like a minute. So if you have not entered yet, you might have time to enter. Go enter quick. If you've already entered, don't worry. Just hang back and relax for a little sec, like another minute. We're going to do the giveaway. We don't have a game to talk about. So we're going to do the giveaway. And as always, if you get out of here before the giveaway, I do a story of the week. Hang out, stick around for the story of the week. It's always fun to talk that. Key says athletes are not generally not good actors. Yeah, we saw Brett Favre in There's Something About Mary back in the day. He's not a good actor. I don't know. There's just too many moving parts in that kind of operation. All right, let's get in these giveaways. Hope everyone got in. If not, better luck next time. All right. So many Hags in here. It's always hard to keep up. No, you guys are just right next to each other. All right, just going through. I see Casey sticking with the naming convention of last week that helped him out. What I'm going to do this week is I'm also going to randomize this list. So give me 1 second here. Gotta accept their cookie policy. You know, you can't go without accepting a cookie policy. All right, I randomized it. I'm going to randomize it 5 times. $25 entries. Let's share this screen. If I can find it. All right, let's get into this giveaway. Before we do anything, before we announce any winners, before we do anything, I do want to say thank you so much to my friends over at Nicolet Law for sponsoring the show as well. Without them, I would not be able to do these giveaways. So I really can't thank them enough. They are the Midwest personal injury law firm. Whether it's a crash, a slip and fall, or something else that leaves you injured and dealing with insurance and medical bills, Nicolet Law knows how to help. They walk you through your options, handle the insurance companies, and fight to get you what you deserve. No upfront fees, just a local attorney who shows up when it counts. And you can reach them at 1-855-NICOLET or visit nicoletlaw.com. So shout out to them. I wouldn't be able to do it without them. And if you guys enjoy the giveaways, you wouldn't be able to do it without them either. But here we go. Good luck, everyone. One winner tonight because it was a tie last week. So good luck. Oh, Derek snaked it. Oh, I thought I was going to sway Coda. All right, Derek, if you're still with us, 1 through 35, up or down, please. That is classic how close that was. That's funny. See, if I truly could rig it, which we were joking about last week, I would do that every single week. I would just put the winner right before Dakota, just to right there every single week. I think Derek's still here, swaying for him. He's probably, he's shaken with excitement. The fact that he just sniped it from Sway Coda. All right, there he is. 10 and up. Raymundo says that was a tie. That's why I use the wheel, because the wheel just tells me. Otherwise, that did look like a tie. All right. Man, those smelling salts must be messing up my sinuses. Holy cow. All right, 10 and up. You can't see the number because it's pretty small. I should probably start writing it big on the letter, but I use the corner so I can see it while I'm going through the envelopes. Oh, boy. You got yourself 2 bottles of legendary sauce. Congratulations. I will reach out to you. We'll figure out which sauces you want, and then I will get those out to you. If you like spicier sauce and if you like buffalo, I definitely recommend Scary Larry. It is a little bit on the spicier side if you like spicy, but the flavor is great. But we'll be talking, and I'll get these out to you. So congratulations, Derek. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone who entered. Yeah. All right, let's do the story of the week, and then we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna enjoy the bye week, stress-free football, and here we go. All right. So what would you choose? More money or the right to drink alcohol? What would you choose? More money or the right to drink on Wednesdays? For Packers legend Johnny Blood McNally, the answer was easy. And before I share that story, if you've ever wondered how Johnny Blood McNally got his nickname Johnny Blood, he had eligibility left in college and he wanted to protect that eligibility. So he came up with a fake name. There was a movie called Blood and Sand out at the time. Him and a friend both had eligibility left. He told his friend to take the last name Sand, and he took the last name Blood. And that's how Johnny Blood became a thing. But in 1929, Johnny was negotiating a contract with the Packers and Curly Lambeau. Johnny asked for $100 a week, which is about $1,900 in today's money. Lambeau agreed, but with a twist. He said he offered Johnny $110 a week, which would be about a little over $2,000 a week in today's money, on one condition. The contract would include a clause forbidding any drinking after Tuesday. Johnny thought about it for a second, and he decided that $100 a week was enough for him to get by on. And, if that meant he could drink on Wednesdays, then it was worth the money. Lambeau left, admired the honesty, and he eventually gave him the full $110 anyway because he was honest about it. So Johnny not only got to drink on Wednesdays, but he also got his $110 a week, which is a big win. So if that's not one of the oddest clauses in a contract I've heard, I don't know what is. But I think that's a fun story and really just goes to show Johnny Blood McNally has a lot of crazy stories, and that is just the tip of the iceberg for that guy. Figured you guys would like that one because I thought that was a fun one. All right. I'd take more money too. I don't drink alcohol. It'd be an easy win for me. Now if the tables were flipped, if it was like, hey Ben, you can't drink coffee after Tuesdays, I'm 100% taking less money. I would pay probably $100 a week to drink coffee for sure. All right, yeah. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Want to say thank you for hanging out. Thank you to the sponsors of the show. They really make a lot of these fun things possible. Hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Good bye week. Enjoy the stress-free football. No matter what, can't lose. So that's always a win. Have a good rest of your week. Stay safe. As always, go Pack Go. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next week. Same time, same place.